everybody, and welcome to another episode of In the Kitchen with Lisa. I'm personal chef Lisa Spampinato, and today I'm going to show you how to make a quick and easy treat. One that actually my son Joe's class was going to make for Dios de los Muertos at Halloween, or Day of the Dead. They are called churros, and they're actually a really yummy, sweet, fried dough in the shape of a stick, and they're served sometimes with some hot chocolate or some melted chocolate. So it's just a few simple ingredients. We're going to start with some melted butter over on the stove, and to that we're going to add some water and some brown sugar and some salt, and then we're going to mix in some flour. Got my butter over here. I've got about 1/3 cup of butter, which is about 5 to 6 tablespoons, more or less, 5½ tablespoons maybe. And then before we go any further, I have over here on the stove already heating up some vegetable oil in a pot, and I have it on high. I want it probably as high as I can get it. So I've started that before anything else so that it's ready to go when my dough is ready to go. I'm going to cover that up, and that is really hot. Okay, to my butter I'm going to add a cup of water. Okay, and 2 tablespoons of brown sugar that I've already pre-measured out. And we're going to let those dissolve in there as well. Let me turn my heat up here so that this butter will melt. And this is different than the regular batter that you'd normally make, where you don't do it on the stove top. So this way we make sure that the sugar gets all melted and the butter gets all melted. And instead of using a mixer, we're going to work that flour in by hand. Give ourselves a little workout. I'm also going to add to this about 1/4 teaspoon of salt, because sometimes a little bit of salt will bring out the sweetness. Okay, as soon as this is all melted and combined together really well, we'll go ahead and add our flour. So I've gone ahead and combined my butter and my water and my sugar and my salt, and I've brought it to a boil. I don't know if you can see that in there. And that's kind of almost like what you do if you were making a salted caramel, except I wouldn't put the butter in until the end, and I'd really let it reduce until it got nice and thick. So same kind of flavors going in here. Once you've got that to a boil, you're going to take this off the heat, and I'm going to go ahead now and add about 1 cup of flour. Just regular all-purpose flour. Now we're going to go ahead and mix it, and this is going to give us the beginning of our dough. And it's going to be kind of tough to get going and get in there, but we'll work it. Ooh, there we go. And you want to try and combine everything, but you don't want to overwork it. Otherwise the gluten is going to get overworked and you're going to have a tough dough, and we don't want that either. Okay, that looks like it's all pretty well mixed together. I'm going to set this aside for a minute, not on the heat. Now I'm going to go ahead and add 2 eggs and some vanilla extract. And I want to combine that really well, because we're going to add this to our dough. Okay. 2 eggs. Give these a good whisk. For those of you that don't know what the churros are, well, if you've ever been somewhere on vacation, I think we had them at Disney World a long time ago, and they sell them in the little street vending cars, and they're these long sticks of fried dough that almost look like the shape of a star, and they're coated in sugar and cinnamon, and they're so good. It's almost like the equivalent of a zeppole from Italy. Okay, so I added about 1 teaspoon of vanilla into their vanilla extract, and I'm mixing that really well. So I've got my egg mixture, I've got my cooled down a little bit dough mixture, and I'm going to go ahead and combine these two and really work them together well. But I want to start mixing right away, so if that dough is still warm, I don't want it to scramble those eggs. All right, our oil should be hot enough. So what I'm going to do now is scrape this into a plastic bag that I'm going to cut the corner out of a little bit, so that I can get a large star-shaped pastry tip into. That's going to help us squeeze it into the oil to fry it. So you don't really need any special tools here. Just need to be a little sneaky and clever. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to fill my bag. So I've got all my dough in my makeshift pastry bag, as you can see, and I've pushed it all down to where that pastry tip is. And I'm squeezing the air out, and then we're ready to go over to the oil, and we're just going to squeeze this in long strips into that oil. Ready? So I've gone ahead and done a little test guy. I don't know if you guys can see him. He's nice and golden brown and he floated right on up to the top. So I've got a tin here with some paper towel in there just to catch some of that grease. And I'm going to start squirting some strips of this dough in here. And if it doesn't break off, you're just going to take your knife and let it go. That's about the size that you want them to be. I'm going to let that drain. And I'm going to go ahead and continue making some more. And when they're ready, we'll roll them in some cinnamon and brown sugar. So as you can see, I've got a bunch of them fried up. And I'm going to go ahead and toss them in my cinnamon sugar mixture. And this is about 1/4 cup of cinnamon and 1/4 cup of sugar. I use the Saigon sugar, but cinnamon, but you can use whatever kind of cinnamon you like. And you want to get them in there when they're still a little bit warm so that they get that coating all over them. So when that part is done, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make a really quick chocolate sauce to go with these. So for our chocolate sauce, I've got some semi-sweet chocolate in here. These are the Ghirardelli chocolate morsels, but you can use whatever you've got in house. And some heavy cream, some whipping cream. And basically, it's like making a ganache, but you're going to make it a little bit thinner. So I'm going to add enough heavy cream to cover this, and then a little bit more. Because I want this thick, but I still want it to be liquidy enough to dip the churros in. So I'm going to cover this with my paper towel, and it's going into the microwave for about 30 seconds. Okay. And then when it comes out, I'm going to stir it up and stir it up and stir it up. If that chocolate's not melted enough yet after 30 seconds, which this is not, we're going to cover it again and in for another 30 seconds. And you're going to keep doing that in 30-second increments. So that chocolate is nice and melty now. And we're just going to keep stirring until we get a nice, solid, darker color. And it's a little thicker so that all of that chocolate has combined with all of that heavy whipping cream. So it's thinner than a ganache, but thicker than hot chocolate. I'm going to pour a little bit in my serving plate here. I've gone ahead and plated up those churros on a nice white plate so you can see how pretty they look. And then there is our dipping chocolate. Ooh, it looks so good. So I'm going to go ahead and dip one in a little chocolate. And that cinnamon and that chocolate is such a nice combination. Perfect. So if you'd like this recipe or any other recipe, you know what to do. You can contact us at JTV 517-787-8817 or via email, viewermail@jtv.tv. We'll see you next time on In the Kitchen with Lisa.